I'm going to talk about the traffic certainty principles that you must adhere to if you want to see great results from your ads. So let's get into it. Here's the reason why businesses can't scale ads. Mistake number one, interestingly, is that they focus too much on the cost per lead, which is the CPL. And why is this a problem? You might ask, why isn't it good to get cheaper leads? Now, cheaper leads does not mean that you are getting a better return on your ad spend. I want you to think about it. When it comes to high-ticket sales, not everyone can afford a high-ticket offer. If you're selling a high-ticket offer for $5,000, $10,000, not everyone is going to be able to afford that, right? So you might be generating lots of cheap leads because you have a broad market type of ad. Say, for example, you might say, hey, I'm selling this widget for like $5 and you get a lot of buyers. But are those buyers gonna actually buy a $5,000 product? No, because they are what we call the cheap leads. The cheap leads are not high quality leads. What you want is to have a balance between getting the cost low for the high ticket buyers that you want to target. And that's the whole purpose of it. Most people make this mistake. And second mistake is they have a hope and pray system. So they generate a whole bunch of leads using a whole bunch of ads, and they just hope that through sheer volume, someone is going to buy their product. Look, there is no problem with getting a lot of leads. But if you're getting a lot of the wrong leads and you don't know which ads are getting the right type of people into your funnel, then that is a problem. So what I would advocate is that your ads are getting the right type of people into your funnel. Mistake 3 is lack of creativity. Look, this may sound crazy, but I know some of our clients that use more than one agency. They use other agencies, including us, to generate leads because they think they can generate more leads. And look, that's totally cool. But what happens is a lot of these other agencies, what they do is they just copy our ads verbatim and run it as their own. It's like there is a complete lack of creativity and just laziness in the agency space that is shocking. So a lot of agencies out there will be just simply copying your competitors' ads, changing a few words, and maybe changing the image, but it is essentially the same ad. And that's why you're not performing, because they are just lazy agencies out there and they don't do the work. They don't even think of how to be creative. So what's important is being creative is essential, especially in today's world where the ad platforms, they want you to be creative because they want people to have a good ad experience. The more creative you are, the greater the experience your ad provides on the platform, the more they are going to reward you. And today I have this theme for this lesson because I love the movie Gladiator, and I love gladiators in general, not for the gore and all that stuff, but the whole idea of having gladiators. And today I'm going to use the theme of gladiators to illustrate a lot of my points in today's world where you are competing against other gladiators in the arena, which is your competitors. If you do not have the right principles, you are going to be killed in the arena. So let's get into it as to what is the first principle that will help you avoid these mistakes. But first, let me introduce a client of ours called Eason. So Eason, when he came to us, he had used multiple other agencies. He was frustrated because he was breaking even on his ads. And breaking even means you can't grow, you can't scale, right? So when he came to us, the first time we ran his ads for his webinar, we got a 12 times return on ad spend. That means for every dollar that he spent, we generated $12. So he was a happy camper. Today, I want to show you some of the principles that allowed him to achieve this kind of results. So the number one is the law of proximity. Here's the thing, right? You need to determine where your ideal customers are hanging out. What channel are they hanging out on? This is done by market research. Find out where they're hanging out. Maybe they're on LinkedIn, maybe they're on X, maybe they are on Meta, on Facebook, Instagram, wherever it is, and how are they making their buying decisions? You got to find that out. But then, once you've done the market research, don't assume that your market research is correct. I would emphasize that you need to go out and spend money to test those assumptions. You do your market research, but test. And usually the big two is Google and Meta, right? That's where most people hang out with. But don't neglect the other platforms. Test out TikTok, test out X, where else? Reddit, Pinterest, LinkedIn. These are all channels that can reach a lot of people and that your ideal target audience might hang out. And the other thing is you do not want to be held ransom by any one of the platforms. Like if you've run ads long enough, you would know that Meta, Google, they frequently ban your ad accounts. And they never provide an explanation as to why they do that. Even though your ads are completely legit, they still ban you anyway. So the goal here is not to be held ransom to any one of these platforms. Make sure you have at least 2 platforms. So if one platform goes down, you still have a second one. Ideally, you have 4 or 5 so that you have that strong table with many legs that is unshakable. That's what I have to say about the traffic channels. Now, the second thing is what we implement is a rapid testing principle. So at the start, we launched 20 plus ads, okay? Because what we want to do is we want to find the best gladiator. When we're starting, we don't know which one of our gladiators is going to be the strongest one. So let's put as many as possible of them into the arena and let them fight and see which one performs. So in day one, what we do is we launch 20 different angles of ads. So for example, when we launched Eason's ads, we had 20 different angles of ads. For example, one might be how to do day trading in just 30 minutes a day and get great profits. Number 2 angle might be how to get banks to fund your day trading even if you don't have much money to start off with. Angle number 3 might be how to use AI to conduct your day trading so you can make more profits for yourself. So we tested all these different angles, and in the end, it was the AI angle that won out for us. So it was how to create an AI bot to actually trade on your behalf and make money. That was the whole angle that actually got us the 12 times ROAS. But if we did not test these multiple angles, we would never know. If we tested like 1 or 2 angles at a time, it would take like months to find out what actually works. So apart from those 20 ads, what we do is once we have maybe the top performing 5-6 ads, what we want to do is create more angles and different hooks that talk about the same angle, different types of videos. One might be a talking head video, one might be a narration video with B-rolls, and third one might be like a cartoon video. So there are all these different types of videos that we want to test because we don't know what actually performs the best. And with the image type as well, we want to make sure that we have ample different variations of images. So we have maybe a photo of the speaker talking on stage. We might have a testimonial type image. We might have a text-based image. We might have a meme-based image. There are all these different types of images that we can create and put it to the test. So once we have like a few performing angles, we want to test as many of these as possible and to find the best possible ad or the gladiator in this case. And we want to just basically test as much as possible to find what works. And especially now with Meta, they have launched this Andromeda update, which means they are rewarding people who have as many variations as possible of these various things that I mentioned, because they might have like this combo, this angle plus this type of image that the AI would just say, well, this would fit this little group of people, so we'll show ad 1 to this group of people, and ad 2 with a combination of video and the angle number 3, we can show this to this group of people because they are proven to respond, and so on. Because you think about it, with each individual, Meta has like tens of thousands of different data points that they can derive from. So it has worked tremendously effectively if you play with the algorithm, right? I think this is becoming more important to become more creative and have multiple variations. There you have it. Number 2, the rapid testing principle. And we move on to number 3, which is the champion principle. So out of those gladiators that fight, you will have a gladiator champion, right? The champion of the arena. And in this case, I mentioned which was the winning ad, which was the create your AI bot to trade for you angle. And I would say you should judge which one is your champion by your angle of your ad, right? Don't judge it by the creative or judge it by the video that you use or anything like that. Judge it by the core theme of your angle and your message. And the other thing is important not to focus on your cost per lead, is to focus on your return on ad spend. So you might have like say 20 different angles. And if angle 1 has like $5 leads and angle 2 has like $10 leads, but angle 2 gives you a better return on your ad spend at the end of the day, because angle 1, it might give you like every dollar you spend, it gives you $1.50. Angle 2, every dollar you spend, it gives you $5. Even though the cost per lead is higher, go for angle 2. That is your champion, not angle 1, okay? So it's important to identify your champion. And then what you do, the next thing is once you have a champion, you feed your champion. You give him better armor as a gladiator. You give him the helmet, the better sword. You train him more, right? You feed the champion, give him good food so that he can train and fight better for you in the arena. So that's the same with your ads. You want to make your champion stronger. And over time as well, your champion will fatigue, which is the same in ads, because your ad, after a while, people will get sick of your ad. So if we just keep running the same ad with the same copy, with the same image or the same video, people will get sick of it after maybe a few months, okay? Sometimes even a few weeks. So what you need to do is you want to create variations of your champion ad, right? So for Eason, for example, we had the same message, but new images, new videos, different copy, but it's saying the same thing, but written in a different way. Maybe it's like we are more focused on storytelling rather than like presenting logic, or it might be a more emotional type ad, right? So there's various ways you can write the copy for the same message. And finally is where I want to introduce the quantum principle, because you can't just keep feeding your champion. Eventually, what you want to do is to have a new champion. Yes, you can feed your champion for a while, but what really creates that quantum leap, like say if you want to jump from like 2 times ROAS to like 5 times or 6 times ROAS, this is where it's necessary to beat your existing champion or your existing ad. And that is where we have a completely new set of angles coming in to try and beat the existing ads. So in Eason's example, we have like how to create your AI bot to trade. What we might have is a completely different angle, like how to live the laptop lifestyle by doing trading. Or we might create another angle is like how to use AI to completely remove emotions from your trading. All these are different angles, and they could beat the original angle. And we tried some of these, and I think we did actually find a different angle eventually that beat the control. I do not recall exactly what that angle is, apologies, but that is how it works. We want to create this quantum leap of just getting like from 3 times ROAS to 7 times, 8 times ROAS. And there was another example where we had another client where we were getting like $30 leads. And then when we implemented this new angle, we actually started getting leads for $4, for $5, which was pretty amazing. And not just that, we still maintain the ROAS multiple. So in essence, we were actually multiplying the result by 4 or 5 times and increasing the ROAS that way. So it is so important to be creative when you're running ads. Otherwise, you can remain stagnant in one spot and not go to the next level. And that is why this quantum principle is so important. As I mentioned, you need to challenge your champion, because after a while, people will get sick of the ad. What's possible, as I shared before, is that we had this 80% drop and massive increase in return on ad spend for another client. All right, now all the ads are going to be driven to a landing page. So this is the anatomy of a high performing landing page. Because think about it, right? You can spend a lot of time and effort focusing on your ads, but they're all getting driven to one landing page. And if this landing page is not converting, then you're basically in trouble. And if it converts, it is kind of like a small hinge that swings a big door, because if you just increase your landing page conversion by 10%, then all your ad costs are also dropping subsequently by 10%. So this is so important to focus on the landing page. And right now, I'm just going to quickly run through with you all the things that are important for high-performing landing page. So let's switch to one of our clients right now that is performing pretty well with his landing page. Okay, Yasu, this is his landing page, right? What we have is we talk about who this is for. And then we have a headline, and then benefits, and then objection, right? Objection handling. And this is what you're going to get at the webinar, okay? 3 things that you're going to get at the webinar. And we have all these credibility things with logos of big companies that he's worked with. And here we have an image of him speaking at TEDx, which lends further credibility as well. And then we talk about the pains, right? So pain. But hey, guess what? You're not alone. This is, everybody does that. Now, this is the solution, right? So this is how you can fix all those problems. And more testimonials, and finally a bit of introduction of him and what he's done, and FAQs. Now, I know you think this is pretty long, and I want to show you this page because it's got all the elements in it. Now, you might want to subtract some of the elements, make it a short page. Sometimes we do that and that works. Like, for example, we might just go from here and just cut off here as well, right? Because, hey, you have your headline, this is what you're gonna get, sign up now, and we have some credibility. And that's totally fine. But for this particular client, what we found is that the longer page works better. So again, test long versus short. You don't have to include all the elements, but I'm showing you the elements that can be included on your landing page, okay? So just to quickly wrap it up, elements you can consider are your headlines, have VSL. In Yasu's case, we did not have VSL, and that's totally fine too. As I said, you don't have to include all of these. We need credibility. I think that's very important. What are the key takeaways if they attend your event? And I think this is something that a lot of people miss, is that you have to make sure that your ad message is congruent with your landing page message. So if you have on your ads saying that, hey, this is how you can learn to speak like a CEO, on your landing page, you should have the same message. Many people forget about this because they create a lot of different variations and then they kind of send them to the page, and after a while it just does not jive anymore, right? Yeah, story might be useful as well, and FAQs to address objections. And sometimes we have future pacing as well. So if you attend this webinar and learn this system, you look like this. If not, if you stay where you are, you look like this. So that's just the whole future pacing thing. Yeah, and of course have your CTA button. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this. We talked about traffic and the principles behind how to create high-performing ads. And we talked about landing page, which is what you can include in your landing page to create a high converting landing page. So I hope you enjoyed this session. Finally, I just want to say, whether you want to choose to do it the hard way or the easy way, if you want to do it the hard way and learn all this yourself, that's totally fine. You can get there too, reading all these scrolls like this Gladiator, or you can hire a pro and make life easy for you. If that's the case, if you like to have a chat to us, see if we have a good fit working together, click the button below and tee up a call, and we're happy to have a chat with you. Thanks so much for watching.